Hey guys, thanks for tuning in for another review. Um, this one's pretty cool. Haven't really reviewed anything that was bad, and I've done that on purpose. I've kind of cherry picked, my favorite products, the ones I use, the ones I enjoy. I don't really feel like wasting my time doing a negative product review. So if you're watching my videos and you're like, damn, he likes everything. Well, yeah, everything I review I like. And the Subtank Mini from Kanger is no different. Actually, it comes with this guy here. The thing is cheap as far as like an RTA or a tank is concerned. It gives you stock heads. It gives you a rebuildable deck section you can use. So this is the first tank of its kind to kind of be a hybrid tank where you can buy coils or you can make coils. At first I had more glowing reviews on this tank than I do now. Now that I've had it for about a week and a half, I've kind of found, some things I don't like about it, some things I like about it. But overall, man, it's a winner, especially with nickel wire in here. To me, if I was to rate this with just the RBA section with nickel on it alone, I would give it an A minus. With Kanthal on the RBA section, I would probably give it a B minus. With the rebuildable heads, I mean, it's okay. It's still better than the Atlantis. It wicks high VG well, but it's not great. To me, it's about a 7 or a 6.5 out of 10. Decent flavor, great clouds. We now have a lot of affordable options as far as tanks now. The tank market is picking up. You've now got the Billow, the Delta 2, the Atlantis, all three of the sub-tanks. I'm just typically, tonight I'm just reviewing the Mini because that's the one I've spent the most time with. I've used all three, but to me, the Mini was where it's at. The original one is just too damn big. This is a 22 millimeter tank. As you can see, it's on the Cloudpore Mini, which I just reviewed. It overhangs just a touch. Looks a little goofy on there. But this pair together cost under $100, and this thing kicks ass. This vape quality, it's just killing it for the beginners to get into the market and spend $100 or less and get a quality of vape like this. It's amazing, especially if they don't have to rebuild or know how to rebuild. But I'm really enjoying the tank overall. It's not blowing giant dripper size clouds, but to me it's about 80% of the way there, maybe 85 of the vapor I exhale on a dripper. I'm not really into the cloud chasing drippers anymore. I used to be, but now I'm really just into the flavor addies. They typically have more of a mouth to lung type inhale the way I set them up, like the Veritas, the Marquis, the Hobo. I pretty much close them off so you get a nice dense hot flavor, which is what I like. I like a nice warm vape. But with this tank, I find that I don't really prefer the 1.2 ohm coil as much. I like the 0.5. It gives a little bit warmer of a vape. If you run them side by side in the same voltage, I prefer the 0.5 ohm coil that it comes loaded with over the 1.2 ohm coil. But to me, if you want to be lazy, yeah, just use the stock coils, but it's not a great vape to me. The K-Fun 4, the 5 Ponds K-Fun just destroys it on flavor, in my opinion, with the stock coils. It doesn't destroy it for vapor production. This will just simply annihilate the K-Fun. The original, the 2, the 3, the 4, I could see some people arguing that it's close, but to me, it's got so much more airflow than a K-Fun. The deck on the Mini is much easier to build. The original Subtank, the 25 millimeter, had a K-Fun-esque style building deck. This one does not. It has a very unique deck where you sit the coil almost below the posts in a way. It's really easy to build on. It's easy to build with nickel. It's easy to build with Kanthal. And I can't say that about a lot of tanks out there. I mean, I can throw a nickel coil in here in 2 minutes and it worked great. I don't have connection problems. I've heard all kinds of people online saying they're having problems with this tank, especially with their Vapor Shark. Well, I figured it out, guys, so you can thank me later. But this little gold pin here, the way it comes out of the box, it's not pressed in enough. And if you just simply take out the coil, I'm not going to do that now because I got juice in it. If you take out the coil and install the RBA deck and just screw it on a Vapor Shark RDNA 40, it'll say check atomizer every time. But I knew it was possible to use this tank with nickel because I'd been running it on my Vapor Flask, no problem, no questions asked. So I knew it had to be something with the connection pin. At first, I was lowering it, trying to get it to touch. Then I realized that wasn't it. So I mashed it up in there, and I haven't had any problems on my Vapor Sharks since then. So if you have a Vapor Shark, run a nickel wire, with a Subtank Mini. All you got to do is get something hard and just simply mash it in there. I was using a plastic screwdriver head and just kind of crammed it in there. Worked like a charm since then. Haven't had any issues running nickel in here. Haven't had any issues running Kanthal in there. The overall quality of the device, it's sorry about that. It's okay. It's not my favorite. To me, it's kind of ugly. I would love to see some black O-rings or some clear O-rings. I just don't dig the red. It would look great on the new red Vapor Flask, or a red Hannah, or red anything. But to me, I don't have anything red, and I don't want anything red. So I know they've started including black O-rings in the newer version. However, I got this one 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So mine doesn't have that. But I noticed our shop that sells them, the new batch has blacks that are spares inside of the box. So that's a nice feature. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with this. This is the next generation, the next evolution of tanks, and we're definitely on the right track. To me, the K-Fun 4 and the 5 Ponds K-Fun is better than this. It's a better vape for what I need, but the majority of the consumers are going to prefer this over the K-Fun. The K-Fun is just too tight of a draw. It doesn't blow big enough clouds, and that's what everyone wants in the current market, I've decided, is big clouds, at least most of the people. I feel like after people have vaped for a while, they kind of grow away from the big cloud thing, and unless they're in a comp, and start moving towards higher quality of vape instead of higher output of cloud. I like to enjoy the juice and the flavor, and I don't want to be inhaling formaldehyde at high heat levels or anything like that. And pretty much, I hate to tell it to you guys, but if you run 120 watts through a coil and it gets so hot that you can only pull on it for a half second before you have to take it off and exhale, then you are inhaling formaldehyde in trace amounts. Probably not as much as a cigarette, but trace amounts of formaldehyde. And it's not going to kill you, but it's definitely not good for you in the long run. So I've kind of grown to favor the more flavorful side of vaping, and to me the Subtank is really good with nickel. The Subtank Mini is okay with the stock coils, and it's just okay with the rebuildable deck with Kanthal. But with nickel, this thing is excellent, man. I have an aftermarket drip tip on here, guys, and that's one of my cons. I get juice spitback in here sometimes. When I let it sit and I pick it up, I get a little juice in the throat. So I have installed a drip tip with a little waffle grid in there. It's perfect for this tank. We sell them up at my shop. They're just like cheap $5 drip tips or something like that. But it doesn't look the best on the Subtank, but it works amazing. And that drip tip improved this tank greatly for me. It doesn't spit up so much with Kanthal or the stock coils, but you get some nickel in here and pump it up to 500 degrees at 25 watts. You get amazing flavor, but you get a little bit of juice spit back, and I don't get that anymore. I've mostly been running it with nickel. I would say 80% of the time I've been using it, I've been running nickel in it. And when I do what I'm doing now, which is go back to Kanthal, since I'm on a Cloudpore Mini, I don't have a DNA 40 in here, I can't vape nickel right now. And for the purpose of this video, I decided to use Kanthal. So the majority of you guys looking at these and buying these will be using it with Kanthal. So I felt I had to go back to it. And since I went back to it, I didn't realize how muted the flavor was compared to nickel, and how inconsistent it can be with high VG liquids. You put an 80-20 like the Vapelander juices I make, and you can get some dry hits from time to time. It's not bad. It's not as bad as, say, putting an 80-20 in a K-Fun, but it is noticeable. If you rip it hard and long at the coil setting of 30 watts with a stock coil, you will get a dry hit if you chain vape it. Not bad, but you'll you'll lose the denseness of the flavor and the concentrated flavor and start getting a more muted flavor out of it. So, like I said, if you're talking about this thing, I can really only rate it three ways. With Canthal, I give it an overall probably a 7.5 out of 10. With nickel, I would give it much higher, like a 9 out of 10. And really, the only flaw is the spitback from the drip tip. I really don't like the drip tip it comes with. It's got a little ledge on the inside where the juice collects. So when you go to hit it hard, you get juice sputter in your mouth, and that drives me insane. I don't know about you guys. I'm OCD. Um, there's no leaking issues like there were with the bigger Subtank. They give you plenty of spares, all kinds of stuff. They give you 2 stock coils. They give you 1 coil pre-installed that you have to wick on the RBA section, and they also give you another ready-to-install coil in here. It comes with all kinds of literature and pamphlets and stuff, but pretty much they give you spare glass, spare coil, Japanese cotton, O-rings. There's the spare coil right there, and a little screwdriver. So they hooked you up on what you get, and you do get an above average product for Canthal. You don't get the best Canthal tank vape I've had, but you get a good Canthal vape I've had. As far as nickel goes, I mean, it's up there with the best. It's amazing. It's truly amazing with nickel. So don't be afraid to try it out. I believe the mini retails about $45 to $50. My shop, Vape Pkwy, where I work, sells them for $46.50. It's a decent tank. It's worth getting. If you're the type of vapor who likes drippers but doesn't like rebuilding or the mess and the inconvenience of it, get one of these guys. They're great tanks. The industry is heading in the right direction. I give it another 2 years till all these tanks are worked out perfectly and we have amazing vape devices. It just seems like 2 years ago this industry was getting going, and now it's getting good finally, and especially with the Chinese products. This is an all Chinese setup here from China with the Cloudpore Mini and the Subtank Mini, and it's really good. I mean, I could use this all day, every day if I had to. I mean, I'm not going to. I would prefer to use a Subtank with nickel on top of a DNA 40, or to just not use the Subtank with Canthal. But it'd be a good driving tank with Canthal or something like that for ease of use and convenience. But to me, the only way this tank is exceptional is with nickel, and it's just okay with Canthal. I mean, it's above average. To me, stuff like the Limo drop, it's right there with that. It's right there with the Billow, with Canthal in it. But it's pretty sleek, I guess. Some people will really love the look of this tank. It's just not for me. It's a little big. The adjustable airflow is pretty cool. You got 1 hole, no holes, wide open for a long inhale. Then you got 2 holes. But what I've really been enjoying doing is this. Let's see if I can circle back around and get it. Is this setup right here where I use 2 holes. So you come over here and you slide it just a little bit further and you start to catch that other hole there. So you're technically incorrectly using the O-ring or the airflow control here, but I actually like it like that, where it kind of splits the airflow. I don't know, it's hard to explain without you seeing the inside of the deck to understand, but it's not a bad looking tank. I'd like to see clear or black O-rings sold on this. It looks very, I don't know, Chinese to me, but it's sleek enough to make. I wanted it. I sought this tank out, so I didn't seek it out for nothing because I'd already used the big one before I got this. I knew they were decent. I knew it would be solid enough, and I'm pretty happy with the purchase overall. Anyway, if you got any questions or comments, comment down below. It's a pretty amazing tank for what it is. For under $50 to be able to get a rebuildable deck that takes coils, the first tank of its kind like that, is pretty badass. I've just got my hands on the Delta 2 from Joytech, and I gotta say, it will definitely outcloud this tank. I'm still on the fence on whether the Subtank has better flavor, But it's looking like Joytech may have actually beat um, Kanger when it comes to Kanthal builds in their tank. The coil, it's a little more sophisticated than this coil and the Joytech Delta 2, but I'm thinking basically the Kanger Subtank Mini and the Joytech Delta 2 are going to take over as the most popular tanks and pretty much knock the Atlantis off of its block. I never really loved the Atlantis. I liked it okay when it came out. The more I vaped on it, the less I liked it. And honestly, with Kanthal, that's kind of how this is getting. But overall, it's a good tank. It's not a great tank, but with nickel wire, it is really really nice. Try it out if you get a DNA 40. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll have another review up in the next few days, and thanks for tuning in. Peace.